Hi, Stuart Bruce here, and I am the Spare Time Property Investor. In these podcasts, I'm going to share tips, tricks and lessons that I've learned and will hopefully help you, especially if you're still working the 9 to 5. Hi and welcome to another episode of the Spare Time Property Investor podcast. Today I'm joined by Rosie and Allan from Arch Investments. They're a husband and wife team who are based in Kent but invest in the Wirral, which is just outside Liverpool. So they talk about the reality of investing so far away from the home, how they decided on the power team that they use now, and also how they manage projects so far away from where they live. At the time of recording this episode, Rosie was just about to leave her job, so she discusses how she managed to negotiate some compressed hours, so she had more time to invest in property, and also how she transitioned from the 9 to 5 to a full-time property investor pretty much at the time. They're consummate professionals, which is evidenced by this clip.
I demonstrated the perfect poker face because halfway through that interview I could see the dog having his protest wee on the floor out the corner of my eye.
And they're a really great couple to talk to, especially as investing far away from where you live is something I know a lot of people kind of think about and struggle with. If you do enjoy the episode, please give it a like, a 5-star review, subscribe or share it on your social media. Anything like that helps to spread the word. And as ever, there's a free monthly newsletter linked in the description and from our Instagram. So go and have a look. But for now, that's enough of me. Let's get to the interview with Rosie and Allan. So thanks again, Rosie and Allan, for coming on to the podcast. So first off, it would be great if you could introduce yourselves and what you're up to in property.
Okay,
we're Arch Investments. We, from Kent, invest in the Northwest and also in Kent. Buy-to-lets mostly, just started to get into HMOs. We've got our first HMO project, 12 beds on the go at the moment. So jumping in at the deep end there.
But for the first few years of our journey, we started in 2017 and did some property training. And from there, we built a buy-to-let portfolio.
That's great. So you live in Kent, which I'm sure is horrendously expensive. So then
It is.
so then you're also investing in the Northwest, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Don't forget that it is 35 degrees all day, every day in Kent. Let's not forget that.
Of course it is. But
it makes house prices worth it.
Yeah, of course. But aren't there just lorries everywhere? Isn't that Kent as well?
Yeah, exactly. I'm renting out the garden to anyone who needs it. Crappy prices at the moment.
Pros and cons. But so why did you decide? Obviously, there's reasons why you're not just focused on Kent. I totally understand that. So, but how did you decide the Northwest, and then how did you kind of find the particular area you're investing in that area?
So first off, we thought, we'll buy a flat in Kent. We did this bit of property training and realised actually you can get a lot more for your money up north, which I don't think we really knew much about at the time. So we started looking elsewhere, and firstly we came to Birmingham because Allan had lived there for a little while.
Yeah.
Let's go up and view some houses. It was cheaper than down here, but it was still not cheap. And it was very competitive. So there was a lot of investors there who were willing to pay asking price, and we weren't. So we started looking further north at that point, and we looked at some of the big cities and the outskirts, and looked at Liverpool. Now, what we found with Liverpool was you could go one street over and it would be completely different house prices, one end of the road versus the other end of the road. It's so hard to get your done up value.
Yeah.
If you're not a local, because it's all over the place. So we started looking a bit further out, and we found the Wirral, which we really liked the houses, we liked the estate agents, the numbers really worked. So that's where we settled, didn't we?
Numbers are terrible in Wirral. Don't encourage anyone to go and look there.
I mean, there's no point anybody else even looking at it, is there? Absolutely not.
No.
It's strange actually. I went up to me and my wife went up to Liverpool a couple of years ago, thinking very similar along very similar lines, I think, and I was just struck by I just didn't know whether one street was better than another, and we got chatting to some locals in a couple of the bars, you know, as you do, and yeah, I just really got the impression that I had no chance of understanding where was good without being like, well, local.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Everyone's got a war story as well. So, oh, I know someone who got killed on that street.
And also with Liverpool, there's again a lot of investors there, and the estate agents don't really have the time for you. And of course, up north, there's loads of investors everywhere. But on the Wirral, we found they would sit down and have a coffee with us, have a bit of a chat with us, teach us where was good, where wasn't, and that was so important. Going 5 hours from where we lived and not having a clue about any of it.
That's a distance, isn't it? To be honest, yeah. I've heard of the Wirral, but I haven't got a clue where it is. So yeah.
Go through a tunnel under some water from Liverpool, and that's where it is.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Up that way. Yeah. Cool, but yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously you've done your research, and you need to do your research if you're spending that much time in the car, and you know you've got, you know, that distance. So I'm sure you have your favoured builders and people like that up there. Did that take you a little minute to build up?
Yes. So the first build team we had were horrendous. We actually had to fire them off the job. Our first build was supposed to take 6 weeks.
Took 6 months.
Took 6 months. Yeah.
So
that was
reason, or?
No.
But basically, the guy fronting the company was very, very good at talking, and didn't really have any of the guys or the experience that he claimed, and showed us around projects that weren't actually his work. Yeah, not a good guy. So baptism of fire, we learned recommendations are everything. And so from there, we started speaking to people, and we found our current build team who have been fantastic.
That's good. Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm sure a lot of people have experienced, you know, running into a dodgy builder or whoever. And yeah, I'm sure it could really put you off. But it sounds like you've got some good people now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they actually came in and finished the job off on our first project.
Okay. And I'm sure that's quite a nice introduction, really, them coming and tidying up something that somebody else started. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. So one of the reasons I wanted to get you guys on was because I saw one of your Instagram posts about you, Rosie, leaving your day job. So I thought it would be a great idea to get you on while you're just about to leave your day job, and talk about what preparation you've done, kind of what concerns, and what you're really looking forward to, you know, to going full time in property. So can you talk us kind of through what preparation you've been doing to make sure this transition out of the day job into full-time property investment is as successful as possible?
Yeah, of course. So to start with, in my job, I worked in HR for a local charity. Before that, I was doing a corporate job up in London, quite a different world, but moved down to Kent and have been working for a charity since. And about 2 years ago, I plucked up the courage after Alan kept saying, you need to ask, to condense my hours. So about 2 years ago, I condensed my hours into 4 days a week. Okay. So I had a property day. So I worked longer hours, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and on my Wednesdays, I got the day off for property, which was life-changing, because before that, I was making phone calls on my lunch break. I was driving to Tesco, making phone calls for estate agents, trying to book viewings in for the weekend, and then getting back, and I had an hour, so it was long enough, but it was a bit stressful sometimes. So that changed everything, and it meant we could actually get some traction with it, didn't it?
Yeah, it made a big difference.
Yeah, and then from there, the idea was to replace my salary. Alan set us a challenge of, in order for you to leave, your salary's got to be replaced. We have a nice lifestyle. We don't want to cut back too much on that. So we decided that was the goal. And it was fairly recently, actually, that we achieved that. So that was the catalyst for us, for me leaving the job. And from there, well, since I've been thinking about it for the last like 6 to 8 months, I've been writing a list of things that I haven't been able to get done, and I've finally started. Although getting a new puppy has not helped in the first 2 weeks of giving up work, I'm starting to get through that list and hopefully tick some of those things off. So he's just made an appearance. I don't know if you heard that, Bob.
That's okay, though.
Yeah, sorry.
All dogs are welcome. No, all dogs are welcome. So that's great, though. I mean, that's a really, like you're saying, it must have been quite kind of tricky going into your boss and saying, I want to condense my hours and stuff like that. But it sounds like it really did the trick. And then, and then you're kind of transitioning out of your job as well, aren't you? So.
Yeah, so I handed my notice in October, and from then I said I'm happy to stay around, and I'll do part-time. So I did my full-time notice for 1 month, and then from there I went down to part-time. So I did 3 days a week, and then in the new year I've gone down to even less. I'm doing a few mornings a week, just handing over to my replacement. So it's been a nice ease off. It's really helped them on the one hand, but it's also helped us in terms of I'm still getting that little bit of money in, which is always welcome.
Yeah, of course. And then, of course, you're still working full time, Alan, which I'm sure is also very helpful in terms of mortgages and things like that. So that's one of the things that I think a lot of people would be concerned about when they leave their job, is being able to get more properties and stuff like that. But if you've managed to replace your salary, that's amazing. So now it's kind of full steam ahead in property.
That's it. Yeah, very excited.
So apart from replacing your salary, did you have any other concerns or fears about leaving the day job?
I think not really. My salary has never been I work for a small charity. It's never been a huge salary, so it's not been a major deal. The biggest concern for me was stepping away cold turkey, not going from 4 days a week to nothing, and thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with my time? And the only other thing is I'm quite a people person. So from going to being in an office with lots of people around to being on my own at home a lot, that was a bit nerve-wracking. But because Alan's now working from home because of COVID, that helps a bit. And there's so much going on because of COVID with Zoom calls and podcasts and Clubhouse that's just come out and everything else. There's so much that you can tune into, so you can't really get lonely.
No, not at the moment. I haven't touched. I've got my name on Clubhouse, but I haven't touched it yet. I haven't had the time. I don't know what it is. I just thought everyone's getting on it, so I thought our best.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't got a clue though. I'll get there sometime.
No.
One of the other things I wanted to talk to you about is I've seen a couple of your posts about the real benefit of social media for property investors. So what would you say the benefits are for people, and why maybe people should kind of take it more seriously, or at least give it some time?
I'd say the sort of people and the community on Instagram really surprised us. Some social media sites, just people like to have a go at each other, but on Instagram there seems to be a lot of people in property investing, a lot of people quite supportive, share a lot of information. So we found that we've being able to like continuously kind of learn new bits and pieces from it. And also, you know, it's quite motivating when you see lots of other people in similar situations to you, you know, going through similar challenges and stuff.
Yeah.
And then on the more sort of business side of things, we have, you know, gained quite a lot of private finance from Instagram. So when we invest in properties, we tend to use a combination of our money and other people's money. So, you know, seeing what we're doing on Instagram and you know, all the posts that we do and the progress we're making, you know, people have quite often approached us fairly regularly asking to get involved in next projects and things.
That's fantastic. And are they people that you who you might know in the real world that are seeing what you're doing and then thinking, oh well, yeah, they're doing great, I'll get in touch with them? Or are they just totally kind of random people you've never kind of got a chance of meeting?
So I think it's the first few people were people we either knew directly or we've met a few times via friends of friends and things. But you know, we have had a few complete randoms recently.
Complete randoms. What a nice way of putting it.
It's a technical term.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it is amazing when you I suppose it's because when you're in the office or family and things like that, you don't really go into too much detail about what you do. People might know what you do. You kind of invest in property on the side or something like that, but without seeing the numbers or seeing the actual results, I mean, how on earth are they to know that it's something to get involved with? So yeah, Instagram in particular.
And we've talked about that recently on Instagram actually, and it does divide people, that subject. We are very open with our numbers for that exact reason. If we want people to invest in us, they need to see those numbers. They need to see that the projects we are doing are successful. So even down to our house, we've published the numbers on our own home because we're proud of them, and it builds confidence in us as a brand, as individuals. But we know that some people are a bit funny about, well, it's personal finance, you shouldn't really be disclosing that. So it's an interesting debate, and we'll carry on as we are, because we've done well out of it, but it's an interesting debate.
That is a really, really good point about your home, because I genuinely think if you're an investor, your home is definitely something you can leverage and utilize and stuff like that, because we kind of know how it works. So why wouldn't you? Yeah,
exactly.
That's a really good point.
And this particular one, I mean, just to give you an idea of the numbers, we purchased our home for 285,000 and spent 40,000 on it and refinanced at 410. So there was, it is first and foremost, it was an investment for us. So it falls into the rest of our portfolio as an investment. It's made us a decent amount of profit there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm totally with you though. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's interesting. I might very well nick that idea about the how.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this 2020 was a really, really tricky year, obviously, for a lot of people. Did you have any projects that you were working on during 2020, and how were they affected?
So we had quite a few delays, didn't we? We were due to complete on one in April, I think. And when did it actually happen? August. So that was one delay for a completion, and then the 12-bed HMO I mentioned earlier. We actually had the offer accepted on that June 2019.
Oh wow.
We had the offer accepted subject to planning, and then we submitted our planning application December 19, and in the middle of the application timeline that the council get to respond, COVID hit, everyone went into lockdown, got sent home, and just destroyed the planning application completely. And we actually ended up completing on that one.
In
November this year. So it was like a year and a half to get it over the line.
Yeah. So that wasn't all COVID. That was that was some planning issues as well, but it didn't help. And then also we actually completed the refurb on our home in March 2020, and we were getting the refinance through literally a week before lockdown. So we were incredibly lucky on this one, because I believe at the end of March, beginning of April, all the banks pulled their lending, and that was that.
Yeah, I think literally the surveyor came out on the Monday and Boris put us in lockdown on the Saturday.
Yeah, very lucky.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, the banks just pulled everything, didn't they? Because they didn't know what was going to come next. So
yeah, exactly.
Really lucky. That's great. That's really good. So yeah, you kind of had some delays, but it went okay by the sounds of it. And now 2021, by the looks of things, is going to be absolutely brilliant for you.
Yes.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, all fingers crossed. Okay, cool. So what first sparked your interest in property? You've obviously done a lot since, but what kind of got you going?
So both of us have generally been interested in property for quite a long time. I think everyone knows someone who claims to have made loads of money in property, whether it's just the fact that they bought one buy-to-let 15 years ago and now it's worth loads of money. I think everyone generally knows someone and sees someone in either their family or their friendship group go through, doing well out of property. So we've always been interested and always exposed to it. When we bought our first house, we were both in agreement that once we bought our first home, we'd save up to buy a buy-to-let. Mm-hmm. And just on the off chance, really, we went to like this free seminar and thought, oh well, maybe instead of saving for the next 2 to 3 years, maybe this will help us work out how we could buy one a bit quicker.
Yeah.
And they pitched the whole dream about how you can make this a full-time career, and we were very skeptical, but it's now Rosie's full-time career, so.
I think sometimes the time frames they say you can turn things around in.
Yeah.
That's the kind of.
Yeah. And they make it sound so simple. Yeah. Money in, money out deals are everywhere. No, they're not.
I think what it is, it opens your mind to the possibilities, doesn't it? But then the reality of it is very difficult to find those kind of perfect deals where you can get all of your money back out and things like that.
Yeah, and I think to start with, we couldn't believe that we could buy property using other people's money. Why would anyone want to do that? But that's been one of the most straightforward things for us. We've not had too many issues getting investors. It's getting the deals that's the tough thing.
Yeah, and then I suppose if you make sure that your deals are absolutely brilliant, the kind of the confidence in you and your credibility will always be there, won't it? But if you kind of just think, oh, I've got this money sitting there, I need to just get any old deal, give it to them, and then don't have the numbers to back you up, it could fall apart. But it sounds like you're very kind of focused on getting really, really good returns for people.
A really good example we talked about earlier about Instagram and angel finance. The HMO we're buying, we bought it cash, and we were going to get a bridging finance to pay for the refurb. And we jumped through 8,500 hoops on this bridging application, and I think they just kept inventing new fees like every week that we had to pay. We ended up looking at it, how much financing costs we were going to end up paying like 30 grand to borrow 160 grand on a property that's going to be worth over $500,000. It's like they were taking the mick a little bit. So one day I was just a bit angry. I was like, that's it, sack them off. We're going to get Angel Finance to pay for everything, get it off Instagram. And it literally took like 12 hours and we got all the refurb money.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
The power of Instagram.
Power of Instagram. And the power of getting, pissed off with bridging finance.
Yeah.
And throwing your toys out the pram and just thinking, oh, no way.
Yeah.
That sounds great. So obviously you've been been working and building this up. So were there any particular things that you did, do you think, helped you invest around your day jobs? Any kind of things that you did that you think that you, if you didn't like use a tool or build relationships or whatever it might be, you wouldn't have been able to do it?
I think more than that, more than tools, it was habits. So we set ourselves a goal of going up to our investment area once every 3 weeks, and we, in the first year, we stuck to that religiously. We didn't get an offer accepted for 9 months, and that was so tough. And we kept going every 3 weeks. We put loads of offers out. We were doing exactly what we'd been taught, and we were not getting anything back, but we were consistent. And that habit meant that once we had got one offer accepted, it then snowballed, and we got more and more, and it got to the point where we actually didn't need to go up every 3 weeks, because we were building on that, and we had enough refurbs going on. And with full-time jobs, you can't do it all at the same time. Yes, people talk about making sure your funnel is full of deals coming all the time, but at some point you've got to slow down, because if you're working full-time, you can't do it all. If you've got 3 refurbs on, going and finding more deals at the same time is probably a bit much, and it was a bit much for us at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were getting up early before work, trying to do like an hour's worth of work in the mornings, working every evenings and weekends. It was really tough going. So yeah, when Rosie was able to have that property day, it really relieved a lot of stress from the business.
That sounds brilliant. I think habits are such a powerful thing, and I don't think they get the credit. And I think it's one of those things. It sounds kind of boring, your habits and discipline and things like that. It's stuff you get taught when you're a little kid, things like that. But actually, it's so powerful because it frees you to do other things, and yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's something you don't have to think about. So yeah. I recently started working out in the mornings with a group of property investor ladies, and I do that 5 days a week, and I've been doing that for probably 8-9 months now without even thinking about it, because it's a habit, and it's brilliant. But I would never have dreamt of doing that if it had been on my own and I hadn't formed that habit.
That's great. Cool. Have you got any business or property books you go back to, or you found really inspirational?
For me, I really like Richard Branson, his autobiographies, particularly the second one, Finding My Virginity. Just started listening to that again. I don't necessarily get a lot of value out of the books that kind of preach the theories of business, and I did business at uni, so it just takes me back to those lectures of, in a perfect world, this is how business is run. But Branson's book is more all about, here's the tons of mistakes I made, here's all these risks that I took, here's all the rewards I got from it, and you just get like a real insight into the way his thought process and the way he tackles problems. And I relate to that a lot more than those kind of, business theory type podcasts and books and things.
Yeah.
You listen to a lot more than me, don't you?
I listen. So I'm not a big reader. I've never been a big reader, but podcasts are my thing. I listen to anything and everything. More so when we weren't in lockdown, because I had an hour to work, an hour back. But I am trying to keep it up, listening to lots of good things. And I'm actually reading the 12-week year at the minute, which is a first for me because I don't read. But I think I'm 5 or 6 chapters in, so we'll see how we go with that. But it's a good one, because it's trying to get you to keep momentum and think about. I don't know if you've read it, Stuart, but it's trying to it's a good one, isn't it?
I like
Make you think about quarters rather than a year, because actually you could push everything back to the end of the year, but why wait? Just get it done in that first quarter, and then you can start again and have new goals and achieve even more. So that's quite an exciting one at the minute.
No, I really like it, and it's all about taking action, isn't it? It's not just having these far off goals that you may or may not get to because it's so far in the future. No, I really like it. Myself, me and my wife are trying to apply it this year, and it's really good. It's challenging. It's really good though. We're both having our kind of weekly reviews, kind of all that sort of business, kind of at the dinner table, trying to take it seriously, but it's really, really good.
Good. So I should definitely carry on reading.
I'd say so. I think it's one of those, it's like, I suppose, like you were saying, Alan, I think a lot of people, in the books, it's very theoretical, perfect world. If you do this and that, it will, this will happen. But in the real world, things get in the way. And I think the 12-week year is quite good at acknowledging that the reality of life means that those plans you set over a year are very unlikely to happen because stuff happens and you just don't get around to it. So if you have shorter sprints at it, it makes a lot of sense, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. Cool. Okay. So you've done quite a lot already. You've gone full time. But what will your lives look like, do you think, when you've achieved all that you want to achieve?
Aston Martin on the drive.
Nice. I think for us, it's about choice. Being able to choose whether or not we want to. Well, when we decide to have a family, if we want to spend time raising a family and spend time with them, spend time with friends and family, it's that choice. We can go off, we can go on holiday, do whatever we like, and not have to ask someone's permission, which is what you get from being a business owner. Yeah, I think that's it really. We're not into big luxury, although Alan says Aston Martin, into big luxury things.
I always say that, but I always think to myself, I would have to be like Jay-Z before I could justify spending that much money on a car.
There's one of my first guests, he's got an Aston Martin. It's very nice. Alan Hardy. That's very nice. But he's got a very successful business as well as property investment for quite a while now. So he's earned it,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm the same as you. I'd want to be able to afford it a few times over before I bought anything like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I have one of my ex-colleagues from where I work now. He had an Aston Martin, and he literally used to count the miles. He'd only take it out on like Sunday mornings, and he'd only do about 1,000 miles a year to preserve its value and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, you spend so much money on a car and you just don't get the use for it. So I couldn't do it. As much as I joke about wanting one, I don't think I would ever put my hand in my pocket for it.
I think it's one of those things. I don't think you can genuinely afford it. Then, if you can't have something you like, you're not. If it gets knocked or something or whatever, you're not going to top yourself. You're not. You can't genuinely afford it because you can't enjoy it. That's But I think it's such a. I think one of the other things about Instagram, which is really powerful, I think anyway, is you see what people's motivation is, what they say their motivation is anyway. I don't know. Some people might secretly want a helicopter and everything, but a lot of people do say about being able to spend more time with their family, being able to travel more, see more of the world, and things like that. And it does seem to be the common factor in a lot of people's motivation to invest in property.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the same for us. Right from the very beginning, when we decided, okay, we're going to try and make a whole career out of property investing. We were quite a few years away from having a family at that point, and just having that choice of not having to struggle through maternity leave and going back to work while you have a small baby, and all of the challenges that so many people go through. We just wanted to do something a bit different.
No, absolutely. And you're doing a brilliant job of making that happen. That's really cool. Cool. Okay.
Thanks.
So that's it really. So I'd love to see kind of how you progress, and I'll be keeping an eye on things on Instagram, of course. But where can other people find you? What's the best place for them to, come to?
Arch Investments. See if you got the branding on. Yeah, Insta, Facebook. We're going to start doing a bit more on LinkedIn. We've got our page set up, but we don't use it as much as we should really. We've got a website.
Yeah, www.arch-investments.co.uk.
That's great. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you both. And I'll see you again soon.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
It's
much.
been great.
Good to speak to you.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please leave me a 5-star review to help other people find it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.